Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro was developed for the PlayStation and initially slated to release on September 18th, 2001. It is the sequel to the popular Spider-Man game released in 2000 and was developed by Vicarious Visions and published by Activision. Following the tragic events of 9/11, the game was quickly pulled from production due to its numerous references to the Twin Towers, as well as some content that could have been perceived as insensitive or offensive. The game underwent a series of edits and modifications before being officially released on October 17th, 2001, although a few pre-9/11 copies made their way into circulation. Today, we will be taking a look at the changes they made and how they differ from the original pre-9/11 version of the game, as well as taking a look at the differences present in the Japanese version. One of the first things you will most likely encounter when you begin to play is falling to your death, and you may recall Spider-Man saying "wonderful" on his way down. In the pre-9/11 version, Spider-Man lets out a gut-wrenching scream as he falls. This was removed and replaced with "wonderful" in the official release. It's presumed that this alteration was made due to the similarities of the people who unfortunately fell or jumped from the Twin Towers following the attacks. In the official release, a minor adjustment was made to a few of the level names. Crash Flight was renamed to Wind Tunnel, Downward Spiral to the Corkscrew, Aces High to the Gauntlet, and Top of the World was changed to the Best Laid Plans. Many of these changes were implemented to eliminate any references to flying or elevated locations. The decision to change the name of the final mission to the Best Laid Plans was made due to the association of the original title, Top of the World, with the Twin Towers. These towers served as the setting for the game's climactic finale, but we will discuss that more later in the video. Several modifications were made to the game's pre-rendered cutscenes. One notable change occurs immediately after defeating Shocker. In the standard version, the scene concludes with Spider-Man swinging into the city as it transitions to a blue fade out.
What was it that Thug said? Hangar 18, right? There's a Hangar 18 at the airfield. I don't need pointy ears and a cape to figure out that this is probably another heist.
However, in the pre-9/11 release, this scene continued, offering a glimpse of the Twin Towers in the distance before eventually concluding.
What was it that Thug said? Hangar 18, right? There's a Hangar 18 at the airfield. I don't need pointy ears and a cape to figure out that this is probably another heist.
A very minute change, but a change nonetheless, was made in the level Wind Tunnel, originally titled Crash Flight. In the pre-9/11 release, playing this level in kid mode would present players with a dialogue box, providing instructions on how to complete it. However, this dialogue is absent in the final game, which likely caused confusion for many young players. Another altered cutscene takes place at the beginning of the level Hangar 18, where your objective is to neutralize multiple turrets. In the pre-9/11 version, this scene features a plane exploding, a sequence which was cut from the final release for obvious reasons.
Looks like my hunch was right. Now to see what these guys are up to.
Everybody down!
Whoa! This is getting serious. Wait a minute. That looks like the same briefcase that Shocker stole. Looks like my hunch was right. Now to see what these guys are up to. This is getting serious. Wait a minute. That looks like the same briefcase that Shocker stole.
This particular cutscene is also one of the first that impacts the in-game levels, as the destroyed plane is now absent from the level with a gate being put in its place. The game's grand finale was initially intended to take place upon the top of the Twin Towers, but underwent significant revisions following the attacks. This led to extensive changes to both the final level and its pre-rendered intro cutscene. Originally, the cutscene depicted Spider-Man swinging out of a shattered window, followed by a panoramic view of the Twin Towers before Spider-Man delivered the line,
"Where would you go to be on top of the world?"
This was all changed in the final release. The cutscene now fades to black as soon as Spider-Man begins swinging out of the window, fading back in when it zooms in on Electro. The line, "Where would you go to be on top of the world?" was completely removed to avoid any references to the Twin Towers. In the pre-9/11 release, Spider-Man and Electro engaged in an intense battle atop the Twin Towers. Players had the ability to swing between the towers, and the building's textures closely mirrored those of the actual Twin Towers. However, in the official release, significant changes were made. A walkway was introduced between the towers, and the textures on the building's sides were modified to avoid any resemblance to the Twin Towers. A small change was made to one of the game's storyboards. In the cutscene leading up to the final battle, one frame was intentionally left blank in the official release, as this frame depicted the Twin Towers in the original version. There might be other minor changes to the game's storyboards, but I couldn't find them. During the credits sequence, Spider-Man ascends a wall alongside a row of windows, each showcasing developers engaged in various activities. In the original version, 2 of these windows depicted scenes that could be distressing or unsettling for some in the aftermath of the attacks. One window portrayed a man hanging from a window ledge with a room ablaze, while the other suggested an empty, shattered window implying they had jumped. These depictions were altered in the final release.
Oh, come on, Carl, not again! This is the 3rd time this week. No debugger and no RAM make Dave go crazy.
However, the Japanese version of the game, which was released a full year after the US and PAL regions on October 31st, 2002, retains some of the original pre-9/11 changes found in the initial version. Every pre-rendered cutscene in the Japanese release remains entirely unaltered, preserving the content as it was before 9/11.
さてとどこだっけ？あ、そう、飛行場の18番格納庫だ。何を企んでんだか知らないが、絶対に好きにはさせないぞ。甘いゲームか。おい、こりゃまずいな。ちょい待て、あれはショッカーが盗んだブリーフケースか。エレクトロはどこだ？
行ってしまったわ、どこかへ。
そうか、分かったよ。エレクトロ、今行くぞ。お前の力も今夜限りだ。
Unfortunately, the in-game levels in the Japanese release are still the modified versions from the official release, resulting in several inconsistencies for casual players. Additionally, Spider-Man's scream as he falls to his death has been re-added with a different voice actor. If you're interested in owning a partial, unaltered pre-9/11 copy of the game without breaking the bank, consider picking up the Japanese version. I personally own one, and it's a collector's gem. As we conclude this video, it's important to reflect on the profound impact that the events of 9/11 had, not only on our world, but also on various aspects of our culture, including the realm of gaming. While we focused on this particular game, it serves as a poignant reminder of how global events can ripple through different forms of media and entertainment. As we remember the lives lost and the heroes who emerged on that fateful day, let us acknowledge the powers of storytelling and art in shaping our understanding of the world. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. Till next time.